one thing is like, how do you think future study helps us improve our understanding of crime and how it impacts everything, the environment in your case?
How do I think future study? So how do I think future study helps
In
environmental crime material, or?
kind of like how it helps us improve our understanding towards environmental crime.
Okay, so I've had one of the lecturers on my supervisory team tell me that effective change starts in the classroom. So obviously, sometimes I'm given the dilemma like, oh, you're going up against massive state and corporate enterprises, or just capitalism in general, and a lot of this environmental stuff, especially climate change, is it's irreversible, and it's kind of the concept of fool's gold. So I've been questioned, multiple times, why do I do what I do? And I kind of said to myself, if I don't do what I do, at least try. I'm going to regret it. So my role in that, as an academic and early career researcher, is to spread awareness, spread insight objectively, and in a number of different formats about environmental crime. In this case, water theft happening in Australia. I spent the majority of the undergrad and honours looking at different forms, ranging from environmental crimes or different kind of elemental, like earth and air or fire related or arson related harms. But come the PhD, I just wanted to what's the links between freshwater, like the most valuable commodity that we need to survive, second to air consumption. What are the links between freshwater and crime? And there's a couple of books on it. It was just an amazing read. So how do I think it helps? It just by spreading awareness, really. Because I know for a lot of the undergraduate students today, or sorry, the flies, the younger generations, are very environmentally or climate change anxious or nervous, because we're going to have to bear the consequences, as we already are, of climate change. So in terms of how can I, what's my role? How can I change any of that or bring any forms of incentives? I'll bring it into the classroom, and I'll spread awareness, and I'll bring any kind of examples where I can. So anytime I've taught in ACR 101 like 7 times now, I know at the back of my hand. I'm extremely passionate in that unit, as I am in all units. But when it comes to Environmental Crime Week, I finish the seminars by losing my voice, or I can't. I've spoken so much and given so many examples to the students, saying, "Oh, environmental crime, this is out there, this is happening, and this is affecting our natural world that we need to live, that we need to survive, or that we are dependent on for to survive." Mother Nature or planet Earth can go on without humans quite easily, but we can't go on without the planet in general. So yeah, future change, just spreading awareness and spreading insights in the class, saying, if anyone is here passionate about environmental protection or green crim or anything like, or just environmental in general, you can do something about it from a criminological approach. And there's a lot you can do about it. Obviously, it takes a lot of work, as other jobs and studies do, but there's something you can do about it. Start learning the relevant material, literature, talk to your tutors or your lecturers, and get additional insights or expertise where you can. Because I'm able to kind of talk about this because this is my own story. This is my own narrative on how I've started from environmental crime to where I am today. Going to be a doctor in environmental crime. I never thought that in high school, but I love the idea of it. I've had some students throughout the undergrad saying, thanks to your seminars, I want to focus on environmental crime for this assignment, or this is a really important topic. What else can I do about it? And yeah, it's just great. I just love talking to students about not just environmental matters, but crimes of the powerful, state and corporate, maybe some media stuff here or there. Yeah. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it does. But do you ever think that you would change from like you would still stay in state and corporate crime, but rather than doing environmental, you might do like white collar or something like that? Do you ever think you'd go into that stage?
Do I like? Well, look, maybe, but because criminology is just so interdisciplinary, I don't know where it's going to take me. I've had
Hmm.
the benefit of having to draw from both like corporate and white collar crime or state crime for the thesis to explain this environmental issue in Australia. I've taught, having taught in the transnational and international crime subject in the third year, as well as at VU as well. Um, I'll look at I love talking about transnational corporate crime or transnational corporate environmental crime because the field is so transdisciplinary. I probably won't ever have to like having to worry about crossing over into a completely different field,
Hmm.
because the unfortunate nature or reality is that the major offenders of all the major offenders of all environmental crimes are either states or corporations. So that element is always there. May do a bit more white collar stuff here or there. But because the field is just so flexible, I won't have to ever quite worry about choosing this or that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think that is really nice though, and incredibly lucky to be able to do because some
Hmm.
people do jump around quite a bit because they love the research side of criminology and stuff, but they just can't find that focal point that they want to
Yeah,
dig into a bit more.
yeah. And exposing that gap in research that you're passionate, it's a difficult thing to do.
Hmm.
It's also like a bit of a breadcrumb trail, and it's a bit of a challenge, a bit of a task that you want to look at this issue or you want to find a gap in. Sorry, how you find a gap in the literature is it's hard to explain, but you look for what's not there, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And you look further into that, and if there's nothing on it, then for those of you like have done 301 or doing 302 at the moment, you're kind of required to do that. Find a gap in the literature in order to write a methodological report on. And it's that task until you eventually, it's that breadcrumb trail until you eventually find it and it hits that massive explosion or this chill that goes down your spine saying, I found this awesome topic. I want to focus on this now. It's the same thing with postgrad, but obviously you're doing it for longer. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense though.
yeah.
Yeah, it does. So this is just my last question, but what advice would you give to future criminologists?
Oh. Based on the tone of this interview, most top one or top two pieces of my advice could be they're very abstract and they're very quite vague, but they've served me well, and I hope they serve you well. Follow your passions. It's I At least from my perspective, I didn't want to spend my life sitting behind the desk of a corporation making money for someone else. I wanted to take charge of my own life, obviously take charge of my own career. I wanted to focus on something that I was interested in, and obviously eventually get paid for it and or supplemented for it, whatever, and etc. And just be fluid. In like crime is literally like fresh water in terms of how it flows and moves through society. That analogy has served me extremely well for the thesis, in terms of how to construct a thesis, what to write, what to research. Um, don't don't worry about sticking to a strictly defined career path or definition or a strictly defined job description. Saying, for example, those doing psychology, if you're going to do psych, you're going to become a psychologist. If you're going to do law, you're going to become a lawyer or something. In criminology, that isn't kind of there. There's a number of different positions that you can go to. So if you have take every opportunity that comes up. Obviously, with timing, and we all have to work, and live with today's increasing prices and so forth. But whatever opportunity comes up, if it's in relation to your field, or even try and start talking to people in that area or finding those opportunities. That was the phrase I was looking for. Best piece of advice: go with the flow. I know it's extremely abstract and vague, but it's kind of ironic given that the thesis was about water. But literally, go with the flow. Go with your gut. That's the best piece of advice. I know a lot of others, really like specific forms of advice, or wanting to follow particular job description. And that's all fine, and that's very significant and legitimate. But for myself, I don't know what I want to do after the grant. I might continue to be a lecturer. I might jump into something else completely. As long as there's still the environmental crime aspect of it, that's what I'll do. I'll just take each opportunity as I get. Don't be afraid to be fluid if that's fluid in your life choices or opportunities, because obviously we've only got one life. So, and you might as well spend that life and spend your time focusing on something you're interested and passionate about, to make sure it never feels like a day of work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. That's honestly, that's the best piece of advice. Apologies for being extremely vague, everyone, but
I think it works though. Go with the flow and you will find your path pretty much.
The path literally does often lay it out in front of you without you having to do, as I've been very lucky to go into this research role from the PhD because of the expertise and the networking that I've built. I've been very fortunate and very lucky to be a part of that. That's everything from my end.
Yeah, it's been amazing talking with you. Thank you so much.
You.
I've loved learning more about environmental crime and what your focus point is and everything. And I think the passion that you have towards everything is truly amazing. And I think it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
And if anyone's wondering about these posters or these flags in the background, I obviously, if you haven't had me as a tutor in your class, I also largely listen to heavy metal music. So heavy metal, highly therapeutic, beneficial for mental health, etc., has been a major thing that's helped me get through the PhD and research as well. I listen to some what we call eco metal bands, or bands that focus on environmental issues, and it's highly therapeutic. Any new class I'll get, I'll ask is there anyone a metalhead? Anyone listens? Usually it's just me, but there might be the odd one or two. Otherwise, thank you very much for having the opportunity to talk today.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And yeah, we're just,
All good.